Hey y'all, hey! Welcome to the FitZen Project. Yes, I'm your host, Rachel Fitzpatrick, and I am really excited today because we have a guest, Scott Proposki. And he's built this kind of career that most people just dream about. He was a White House photographer. He was a photographer for major brands, eight-figure business, National Geographic, NFL, you name it, the guy's done it all. And then all of a sudden, it came to an end. Literally, it stopped. So this conversation is about what happens to that identity that you built and it no longer fits. And I love this type of conversation. And I'll tell you why, because I just have gone through it in this transformation myself, building something that I absolutely loved and then had to totally walk away from it. So I totally resonated with Scott. I felt like this conversation was a movement in and of itself. And I really, really hope you pay attention to how he's shown his way to come out of it, because maybe that's going to land for you. And if it doesn't land for you, it's going to land for somebody you know. And you're going to love it. It's mindset, reinvention, future self energy, and the truth about looking busy versus actually moving your life forward. Think about that, right? So first, shout out to some brands I love. Rage Create, you already know I love you. You have the calendars, the desktop pads, the sweet ass affirmation decks, 1, 2, and 3, and a coloring book to go along with them. And don't you know I have them all? I have them all, and you can too. You can go to ragecreate.com, use the code FITZEN, FITZEN, get yourself 20% off. I'm sure there's going to be a free shipping swagging around there somewhere too. And anyway, check it out. The link is in the show notes. You can also go to lotusandluna.com because they do fair trade clothing that feel absolutely organic and amazing, and they support causes for employing women, y'all. So just check them out. Go find yourself some cute little summer clothes. They're always running a sale, and you can use code FITZEN, FITZEN, on their website too, 20% off. So you heard it from me. All right, back to you and this conversation that you're going to love with Scott Proposki. All right, awesome. Well, welcome, Scott. I am excited to have this conversation with you and learn about your photography and your whole entire career base and how your coaching goes. Please tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, no, well, first off, thanks for having me on the call, Rachel. I kind of appreciate it. It's, I know it takes a lot of work and effort to be on these calls, so I do appreciate it. So as my intro goes, and it's kind of a hook as I say it intentionally, but I'm a former National Geographic and event photographer for the White House. And I've worked for HBO, the New England Patriots, the NHL, and Google, Microsoft, and a few others as a photographer. And after I left the White House, I met some incredible business coaches that got me to create processes and systems in place to scale a photography business to 8 figures.
Nice.
But there's a but, Rachel. But COVID, right? And I was an event photographer, doing events for big events, lots of people, right? And COVID happened, and everything just stopped overnight. Lost everything. So
During COVID, right?
yeah, we got shut down. There was no big events. We're a sizable company, 52 people, and it just never really came back. And I couldn't shut the faucet off quick enough because it just, expenses are going on, trying to keep the company going on. And it just simply never came back to that level of multi-year contracts with different events around the country. Those are all gone, right? It was like starting all over again. And it took a toll on me. It was difficult to be launching a book in 2019 called Camera Focus, being on the road, flying for this job, HBO, and going here and just all over the place, complete chaos. complete chaos. And I thrive in chaos sometimes, to absolutely nothing,
Yeah.
right? Um, it took a bigger toll on me than I ever imagined, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I could I can see that. Like, I could totally see it. As a matter of fact, at first, when I had the pleasure to get to meet you a few weeks ago and talk with you about it, I was like, man, I would really love to dive into how that landed with you, what it truly felt like in your nervous system, having to kind of be still because like you said, you are all over the place. You do have these like big name places that you shoot for, and you have been so what I would call successful in your career path, and the trajectory just was meant for you. And then all of a sudden, you're just like, you have to quit for a bit. What was that like?
Well, honestly, it was like a death. You
Yeah.
know, there was a lot of mourning going on, right? And trying to figure it out on your own was not a wise choice in my part. You just kind of, you isolate, right? Trying to figure it out. And whenever you have somebody that's going to isolate and you fall in a depression, the world's falling apart, you listen to the news. Oh my gosh. And it just spirals sometimes. And I was fortunate enough that I didn't spiral too long
Uh-huh.
and realized that, hey, what am I going to do now? You know, um, Today I'm 58 years old. I feel like I'm 30. I look like I'm 35. No. uh, but, at 58 years old, I don't have the runway and the time to restart that business over again. And you have to think about letting go, and have that mindset that you got to let it go.
Yeah.
And
That's
what are
hard.
you going to do next? Yeah, it's easier said than done, right?
Yeah.
But for sure, mindset though, right? It's very big.
Yeah, absolutely. Was there like a special tool that you used or anything or a multitude of tools that you tapped into to help you kind of overcome or shift into that new identity?
Yeah, I fell into this role of I don't know enough. I need to take this course, that course, this course, and I don't know enough. I don't know enough. And
Uh-huh.
honestly, you never know enough, right? And I fell in that trap of let me hide behind a Zoom screen
Yeah.
and let me look busy if I'm on a Zoom call, right? Um, for some course or program or whatever it was at the time, constantly. And I was hiding behind the Zoom camera, right?
Yeah.
Trying to look busy.
But you inherently tapped into the fact that you know everything you need to move on.
I did, and it was a tool that got me through it, right? It was a new world. I was trying to figure out, I had coaches. I'm on these coaching calls and paying for this program. And I'm in these calls and I'm having these conversations with people. And I just noticed that I just thought differently. And it was who I am. But, being a leader and having 52 people, it spoke differently. I was very vision based, right?
Uh-huh.
Um, and I think a lot of people were attracted to that. Just like finding good employees or team members, I call everybody, right? If you're a good leader and you can, put out the vision of this is what's going to happen and here's how we're going to do it, you know, sell the outcome, even in sales,
Uh-huh.
sell the destination, not the seat on the plane.
Yeah.
And people want to see the destination. Where are we going with this? Sell me that idea. And I always had that mindset. And I'm like, maybe that's my unique ability. It wasn't exactly taking photographs, honestly. That was past, that was gone. And it became more of a leader and a future based kind of visionary, kind of individual.
Ooh, man. But you did sell the vision literally with your photographs. I mean, if you put it in perspective a little bit, like that was the whole entourage, maybe just not tapped into the exact path that you just spoke. But yeah, that was
Yeah.
picturesque.
Yeah. The big picture, right? Literally, right? And
Yeah.
yeah. So So a lot of self-reflecting and trying to figure out what's next. What's
Yeah.
next?
And what did that look like to you? And how long did that take you to get there? So twofold.
I don't know. I think I'm still there actually, Rachel.
Yeah.
um, well, I try to be in the now, right? I try to be the now, and I try to, what would my future self think? Because what I'm doing today is for my future self,
Uh-huh.
right? The future's like in an hour from now, right? It's like now, be in the now. Um, so my future self is actually kind of happy what I did.
Yeah, for sure. And you brought that in. I feel like this is so on par to what the FitZen Project is truly all about, as far as your energy management and your vision and how to be that perfect visionary for the end game, for the future self. But it does always begin with being present right now. But you
Mm,
have this unique capability, as you mentioned, of selling the outcome, not the seat on the
yeah,
plane, you
yeah,
know?
right, right,
And I
right.
think that's how manifestation truly is embodied, is by being the person that is at the end of the game versus the the stuff in between. So, like, take on that energy of that future self in the now moment.
Hmm.
How did
Yeah.
you Was that just something that you always carried with, or do you feel like, that's something that's, like, neurotypical for you, like, just in general?
No, I had to be taught it, right? Um, just like a lot of things. And I had a friend, his name is Dr. Benjamin Hardy. We had the same coach many years ago. And Dr. Benjamin Hardy, Ben, Ben Hardy, young guy, he wrote a lot of books, Not How, But Who, and Be Your Future Self is one of his books. And I was there when he was writing the book and got to see the draft versions of Be Your Future Self Now. And I just saw the draft and I would talk to Ben and he would tell me what's going to happen with the book and how he's going to do it. And I got behind the scenes of it. And I was kind of fortunate because Ben Hardy's just an incredible individual, wrote multiple books. Um, but it was that one book, Be Your Future Self Now, that he wrote that I got to talk to him as he was writing it, him and Dan Sullivan. So it's kind of a very unique situation for me. It really kind of changed the way I think, really.
Yeah, and your whole entire presence, literally.
Yeah, huge. Yeah, I didn't think it was gonna make that much of an impact on me, I gotta be honest with you, but, it just hit me like, it really did,
Yeah.
be in the now, right? So,
So that brought you from COVID, where you were completely, like, in disarray, and you put those tools and tactics in for being in the now, for your present, for future self. And then now, where are you now, and how'd that land?
yeah, so, I'm always into the future, what's next? Um, I'm always trying, right now we have AI, right? AI is
Mhm.
crazy, something new coming out all the time. You know, I I I help creators, business owners, entrepreneurs, and photographers in their business. And yeah, it's my job to get to people to think differently and what's next. And especially my group of photographers, to, paint a picture of this is what the future may look like. And are you ready for it? Because photography is not going to go away. I mean, it's not going to die. It's going to evolve just like everything else. Nothing dies. It's just going to evolve. And can you be ahead of that evolution of AI? Right. Similar to the days of that film photographer, right? So maybe if you weren't born in that era, there was film, right? You had to develop it and Kodak but there was people that were doing photography and film, and then digital came out, right? Well, a lot of these film photographers that were at a certain age, and they're like, "Oh, digital is going to take over the world. I'm out," and they left, and they didn't see the future, right? And well, obviously, digital came through and it's brought photography even bigger, right? Yeah. So the iPhone came out, it had a camera on it. And a lot of photographers were like, oh man, the iPhone it's going to take over the world in photography, and we're not going to have jobs anymore. And well, that didn't happen. And photography even got bigger even from that point on.
Hmm.
And even still today, we have AI, but I don't know. I don't see Canon or Nikon going out of business any day soon.
Right, right. I feel like AI with anything can be used as a partner versus an enemy on a multitude of things. And of course, you can demonize anything and it will come to fruition if that's where your focus is. But in my opinion, I feel like AI is just going to enhance everything
Yeah,
that we've already gotten. Um,
yeah,
and okay. Like it will be what it will be, and that's perfectly fine. And there will be another loophole where you get to grow into humanizing things. One of the coolest things I realized just the other day. You ever heard of Sturgill Simpson, Johnny Blue Skies?
no, I haven't.
It's- He is a awesome artist. He sings old time music like country, but bluegrass, but indie. And in my opinion, he's just a regular everyday badass, but he's awesome in his music. And he specifically released his last album to be only on vinyl, cassette, or
Oh,
CD. So not streamed music in Spotify or anything like that. And he has proven that he is capable to overcome all of that digital and streaming because he ranked number 3 in the top
wow.
charts for selling his debut album this year. And it's like no one's done that, you know?
Yeah, it's being unique and innovative and thinking differently, right?
Yeah,
What's your unique dominant position that makes you different than everybody else?
yeah,
Is the big question, right?
yeah. And I'm sure
Perfectly
you
done.
do that
Well done.
in your photography and in your business as well. Is that what your book is made up around? Is how to really just catapult yourself in your creations?
Yeah, Camera Focus came out right here. Show a little copy here. You watch it on video.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a great book. It's a really good book. And yeah, having a camera as your superpower to give you that vision, the tool, right? That if you have this tool, you can do anything. And for me, that's what it was, right? For some musicians, it could be the microphone, could be the guitar, it could be whatever that is, right? What's that tool that's going to really get you like, man, I got this, I can do anything.
Yeah.
And it was being very camera focused and not everything else. I didn't get wrapped up in everything else. Um, because it was so camera focused, right?
Yeah.
Um, and today we are all. I mean, we're on Zoom calls or Riverside or podcast, and we all need to be camera focused. To be honest with you, right? So it's kind of a term that's it's easy identifiable, right? Like
Yeah.
we need to be focused on the camera to do our work, to pay attention, to be in the now, and to move forward in the world. It's just simply the way it's going to be. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, right.
I love that. It's so fun. I could talk to you about this for forever, but it's like the yoga philosophies and stuff like that with
Yeah.
the focus. It's like my yoga teacher yesterday just had said it wasn't that yoga was invented and you do all this stuff so that you can post it online or whatever, or be the best in some ego way. But it was literally like you do these hard poses so you can stay in the now of discomfort and then
Mhm.
notice what that feels like in your actual body. And then that brings in a certain level of focus for the present moment that you can
Mhm.
then, it's a skill that you like gain that you take off of your mat. And that's what you end up embodying, which I find that super unique with your camera
Oh no,
focus.
I totally identify it with it because at that moment in time when you're doing those poses and you're in that moment, right? Hopefully, most times you're not thinking about anything else.
No.
You were just so zoned in, right? And that's the only, and that's the power of yoga and mindset. And for me, camera focus. If I was taking a certain project, right,
Hmm.
I would just analyze it. Like, how can we do this better? What can we do? How can we do it? How can we do it? I
Yeah.
wasn't thinking about anything else, right?
Yeah. And when you're like in the moment of shooting, how many angles did you find yourself of the same focal point of trying to get? Was it always just like, oh, you nailed it your first time? Or did you move with the movement of where you were looking?
I was kind of in years ago when I was taking a lot more photographs, right? I was kind of a guy that looking back on it, even vacation photos, right? If I didn't see it, I didn't take the photo. Like
Really?
when I saw it, I saw it. Like I didn't like, let me show you. Let me take, I wasn't a person that just took hundreds and hundreds of photos of whatever I was doing. Most of the times it was a very few amount of photos.
Yeah.
Most of the time it was just visually seeing what I wanted to do. If I didn't see it, why take it? Right?
That's awesome. I know. When I was take pictures of my son, I've got like 500 of pictures that I will never look at again. But
Yeah, man. No, you never know. You never.
there's always one of the same photo in one
Yeah,
particular pose. I'm like, "Oh, that worked." You know?
yeah. The
Which
power
is
of digital.
yeah. It's exactly why the iPhone phone, like, photograph and camera will never overcome the actual professionals of taking photos.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not about the gear. It's in the moment, the environment, right?
Yeah.
Getting the other person comfortable, right? I'm
Right.
sure when you take pictures of your son, you kind of do certain things to get them to look at the camera. Um, if they're a certain age, the 5-year-olds and give me the goofy face if I tell them to smile on the
Mhm.
camera, but if I tell them to do something else, they're all in. Um,
Exactly.
right? So it's setting up your environment. Same thing
Uh-huh.
when I do the Patriots or bigger jobs. You got to really set the environment up. No
Yeah.
difference. No difference.
So when you're in your coaching sessions now, which I assume that's where you grew into, right? Actually, do you want to talk more about that, like your growth um, from COVID into your now era?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, it's not about me, but it's a story that if somebody's listening, right, that person, that unique person, is that I had a soul search is exactly what I wanted to do. Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? But honestly, I've always been in this mindset of call it coaching, right, or a leadership role.
Mhm.
And honestly, I'm the type of person where I don't see myself doing anything else now. I mean, this is literally what I'm born to do. This is what I do. This is what I'm good at. And there's tough times, trying to ramp up or try to do some kind of promotion or promote it, and maybe it didn't go well, or some went great, right? But just like anything else, I have my ups and downs and trying to figure out the business with technology and funnels and emails and all the technology that you get your head around, right? But at the end of the day, I honestly don't see myself doing anything else. It's just this is where I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that. So when you landed into that, what was your biggest driver? Like you said, you're not supposed to be doing anything else. Like you've always just
Yeah,
been in leadership. And what was
yeah.
your like, yes, this is my focus point.
I'm reaching into my drawer here to. I don't really talk about this book that often, but I wrote a book during COVID called "Be Focused,"
Nice.
and COVID was just kicking in. It was 2020 when I started to write the book, and I was a beekeeper. I had bees, and um, and I had a mentor that said, Scott, you really should write a story about bees and it should be your next book. And I'm like, well, where am I going with this? Right. I love bees. I think it's great. Um, but then COVID happened. COVID-19 was hitting around and it was all about viruses, as we all know. But being a beekeeper, if you, and there's a point to this story where I'm going to get to that's super important that changed everything in my life. Being a beekeeper is like you need to watch over the hives to make sure that they survive, right? As a beekeeper. And there's a lot of viruses that can affect bees. And this is the news stories that come out about bees are an endangered species, right? They're dying off because of different viruses they get. So you have to be a good beekeeper to make sure that you can keep your beehives active and thriving. Well, COVID happened and we're getting this virus in the world. And if you weren't a good CEO looking over your company, your bees, your worker bees are just going to die off. So
Mhm.
if you're a good leader, a good coach, or a good beekeeper, your bees are going to thrive. Your business is going to thrive. And so that was the whole metaphor around the book about thriving in corporate America. You can't have two CEOs, you can't have two queen bees, right? So it was a really fun book. So we wrote it during COVID, super high, again, Scott's passion, hyper focused on it, became an Amazon bestseller for like a hot minute, um, which was fun. Um, but what was really remarkable to me that I wrote the book in 2020, book came out in 2021. 3 or 4 years later, I was reading the back page of my own book. The last page was right in the book. And it shocked me what I wrote. Now, this is in 2021, just losing the business. I didn't think the photography business, what I was doing was going to come back. And I actually wrote in my book, my coaching program, my website, scottproposki.com. And that I was a business coach and this is what I'm doing. And I'm going to help companies thrive. Well, I gotta be honest with you. At the time, I wasn't. And I laid out my whole business program on the last page of this book. And I only realized it till after I was doing what I was doing.
Ugh, I got cold
Yeah.
chills.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter how many books I sell, what the book does, because that book obviously had a lot more power in me as I was writing it during COVID, trying to figure things out. Um, so I was just needed to be focused.
Yes. Oh,
Da-dun,
snaps.
da-dun, dun.
That is awesome. I You literally wrote your energy in the now for how you were gonna be in the future.
100%.
You've been doing that,
100%.
like, that's how you churn.
And so I saw that. I knew that, yep, this was a sign. This is what I should be doing. So, yeah, very good question you asked me. Like, how'd I know? What was the sign?
Yeah,
That was my sign.
that was so great, and you gave that to yourself as not even knowing that you were doing that when you wrote that. You're like, "Yeah, this is
Yeah.
what I do now." One
It's
day, it
funny.
will be.
It's
Oh,
funny. It was February of 2020, and I was talking about writing the book to my team. And we were in the conference room, and it was like March 3rd, March 4th. And I said, you know what, this COVID thing, COVID-19, I think we're going to have a global pandemic.
mhm.
And I think I'm going to write about the book about the viruses, about the whole story with overseeing a beehive and overseeing your business. And I'm going to write about the book about a global pandemic with COVID-19. And they said, what? I said, a global pandemic. What is that? What are you talking about, Scott? And I said, yeah, I really think this is going to be a global pandemic. And I remember somebody in the office said, you're not going to actually write that, are you? And I
Wow.
said, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's what happened. So from the very beginning of this book, it kind of helped me write it in my basement, and from leaving the office in February, March of 2020, um, and going all the way through 3 or 4 years later. That the power of me, writing. I enjoy writing. I read a few books. Um, Camera Focus changed my life. That book and helping other people. Um, and it just became, this is where I was meant to be, and I'm okay with letting that past go. Even though I had an extraordinary career, and it's still going on, which got me to where I'm doing today. But it's a new season. People go
Yeah.
through divorces, and I speak to some friends that they've gotten divorced, and they talk about their spouses, and they go on, oh man, oh, and furthermore, and can you believe? And I let them finish. I'm like, how long how long ago did you get divorced? Oh, about 10 years ago. And they talk about it like yesterday.
Yeah.
And they didn't let it go. And I didn't want to be that person,
Yeah.
you know?
That speaks on so many levels, just in general. You can repeat your same thoughts. Most people that walk around totally unaware of their self and unaware of their surroundings, they repeat 95% of the same thoughts they thought the day before. And maybe 5% of your day is something new. And you're just on repeat every single day in your mind until you really learn how to break your own mindset and break that charge to really try to think out of the box or do something
Yeah.
new, whatever. It's
Yeah.
wild.
Oh, I'm a complete believer of that. I mean, sometimes, I remember I had a very big sales call planned for the day that I needed to be on a call. And, I didn't do it. I mean, not this isn't all the time, but it was a big call. And that day I didn't do anything else. I didn't do any work. I worked from my home. I just, I think I was outside working around in my outside yard and outside my backyard and, just thinking about the call. So that when I was on that call later in the afternoon, I was like super just dialed in. And it was that type of call where I just didn't want to have, I wanted zero distractions, to be point on that call. And, and so sometimes you just got to focus on one thing, and not sometimes, a lot of times I try to do. But I didn't, it wasn't distraction. It was my mindset of going for a walk. I went for a walk, went for a hike with the dog, and just thinking about that call. What would I
Mhm.
say? What about this? What about that? Right. And, otherwise, did I get past the day? Yeah, I walked away from other things, but this was super important to me. Right.
Mhm.
And so all day long, I just thought about the call, what I was going to do, what I was going to say, how I was going to go, manifest that call like it actually was already done. Right. So
Yeah.
it was super important to me. So yeah.
Yeah. That's really, really cool. I know we could talk about the mindset and energy forever. I feel like that is just what you embody. Just totally, when you go into something new, when something comes to you, it's literally like you have this calm essence, and it's truly all in the mindset and how you approach the game. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you lose things, you got to be a little bit more cautious sometimes. And it's not shiny object syndrome, right? It's actually thought out,
uh
try to, you got to make quick decisions as a business owner. And some are not right. But when you don't have as many decisions to make, you can think about it a little bit more. Right.
yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Wow. So I want to ask you a few more questions, but for one, I want to start with what does it mean to you to be in the business of yourself?
I don't know any different, actually. I never had a corporate job. I never had any other job but working for myself. My entire life. I've never had any other job.
That's awesome. Man, not everybody can be so lucky. All right. So with that,
Yes, you get throw in a COVID deal. It can be challenging for sure, but yeah, it's just like everybody else. We all have our challenges, but yeah, I don't. I just most people say I'm probably unemployable. Honestly, I don't know why, but I understand the method and I understand the words, right?
right,
That I'm unemployable.
right. And then if you were to ask the next guest on the FitZen Project one question, what would you want to know?
Um, I want to know is I'm really big on self awareness. Like,
Uh-huh.
what's your definition of self awareness?
Yes. Because as you may know, you may not know, but the FitZen Project has been around for exactly
Year
a year.
celebration year. I listen to the podcast. See,
Yeah. Like how
yeah,
great, right?
yeah,
So
1 year.
when you were saying earlier, you were like, all of the people or all of the things you have been and gone through got you to this exact moment. I just feel that in my bones right now of being the person that I've been in all of my past lives to get me to this exact moment. And there's just nothing but gratitude that I see. So,
Yeah, yeah, and you could have done it before because you simply weren't ready.
right. Yeah. Exactly. So now I'm venturing into entrepreneurship myself and seeing what that life is like. And I think it's so far been incredibly fun because I get to meet some really awesome people like you. And this has been fun. This has been a great conversation. So I really appreciate you jumping on here and
Yeah.
reaching out. How can we get a hold of you or be part of your collective?
Yeah. So I kind of keep it simple. So there's two ways: photographer, creatives. It's the camerafocusmethod.com. And for the business owners, it's business focus method. So businessfocusmethod.com or cameraFocusMethod.com. So serving two groups of people, two different issues, two different types of businesses, right? The creative individual that's super creative, or the entrepreneur that's running the business that's trying to scale.
Awesome.
Because that's what I was doing. I was doing both of those. And you don't find that too often. So I see the creative side, but I also see the other side of the business. Like, how do we create a business that you want to prepare to sell, but you don't want to or need
Yeah.
to?
Yeah.
That's where we need to be at, where a lot of business owners, they need a lot of help. Um, and having that mindset, let's create this business like you could sell it, but don't need to or don't want to.
I love that. When I was working last year with a mentorship program, I was in one for an entire year, and it took me like 6 months to really identify, my niche, so to speak, or
Mm,
my
mm,
client avatar, so to speak, and
mm,
I'll say for someone who I feel like I can get along with everybody, it was really hard to get into that granular focus of
mm.
what is exactly that I offer, and am I okay with it being 10 people in the entire world might love it? Like it's sauce for just 10
Yeah.
people, you know?
I tell a lot of photographers, I'm like, oh, what, Facebook ads and do this and marketing. I'm like, how many customers do you really need?
Yeah,
20, 25.
yeah. I'm not looking for the entire world.
Yeah.
Just
You know, you can go swim in the ocean. You don't have to touch all the water, right?
Right. Yeah, very well said. Mm. All right, any one piece of advice you can give to let's do both, to both your creatives and your business people. What's your one biggest piece?
Yeah. It's actually, everything we just talked about today. One is focus on one thing.
Uh-huh.
If you're in business, focus on dominate that position. Don't dabble. Dominate it. Own and control that territory, right? And the creators, be in the now. We're
Yeah,
always creating. We always want to be over there. We always have to be over there, but you'll never be here.
right, you can't skip it. Uh,
Yeah, be in the now and focus on one thing for the business people, and a little bit of both on both sides, really. So
yeah, perfect. Well, thank you, Scott. I really appreciate you. I appreciate your time and your
yeah,
knowledge. I think this was so cool. So,
yeah.
thanks.
No, it's awesome. Love sharing the words. Try to help somebody out. My mission when I wrote my book is if I could just help one person in the world, mission accomplished. So
Well, you did great with me. I'll take it.
mission, mission accomplished.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that is a wrap. And I will say, if this episode slaps, why don't you go ahead and send it to a friend? Don't be a knowledge hoarder. Send it. Send it to a friend. And while you're at it, why don't you go ahead and go to the show notes and join my email community because that's where it's at. And I will say it's worth it. A friend of mine through my email community just won my giveaway for my 1 year of being live with my podcast. And my giveaway was 2 free tickets to the full weekend of the Kentucky Yoga Festival. There's going to be more like that coming along your way. So, either way, go into the email community, be part of the FitZen community, and be part of the fun stuff that I share, not only just in the podcast, but in your inbox. All right, let's bring it in. Let's take this all the way to the Om. All right, take a breath. Oh. And always know you are your most important project? Until next time.